Yeah, we're good.
Nice, nice, nice.
I don't know, bro. Do you think you stand out?
Hmm.
I don't know.
Mm, how do you mean?
I don't know. Um, just that. Do you think you stand out?
I mean,
Take it however you take it.
yeah. I mean, there are many ways to think about that. In Usually, when I first got here, I used to stand out a lot because very black guy in a PWI. So almost everybody else is not black. So I would usually stand out in terms of color. Um, but I don't know. Generally, do I think I stand out? I mean, I think everybody stands out
Okay.
in their own way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody stands out.
But in terms of like, I don't know. I don't know. I just find you unique, like in a very good
Mm-hmm.
way.
Okay.
Like I feel, like I know you're always kind of like positive or responsible, or it's like, I don't know. There's this, I don't know. Just notice the small things.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I've lost my wallet and if I like it's like in a place or it's in a room, like you'd be
Mm-hmm.
like the first person I'd be like, let me just text Chilo.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
like he'll like I don't know.
And that actually happened.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thank you. Um, man, thank you so much. That's very flattering. I actually don't think about myself in that way. I mean, I like to be responsible. Um, but then in my mind, there are so many ways that I could definitely do a lot better. I I celebrate the growth and all of that because I know the way that I am now is not how I used to be.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
like at least 4 years ago when I first came to K College, I over the years I noticed things that I feel like I could improve on, and I try to improve on them as as time goes on. Um, so yeah, I mostly focus on the work that I still need to do. So it's very flattering when I hear stuff like that. But I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's so much work that needs to be done.
I find it interesting. I feel like most people that I don't know, I respect or I feel are on point. Always, often feel like they have a way, like a ways to go. Or they
Oh,
still
really?
like, yeah. There's so much to kind of be.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be balanced though. I try to not be too hard on myself. I mean, every person should have some like a target and things they compare themselves to. I'm always inspired by a lot of people. I think growing up, I used to read
Mm-hmm.
a lot about people. I love to read autobiographies. So I remember when I was younger. I mean, I feel like everybody read about Ben Carson.
I have no idea who he is.
No, really, Ben Carson,
No,
the neurosurgeon.
no.
So yeah, he wrote so many books. I watched even the movie too. I remember reading um, Think Big. There was the bigger picture, or the big picture, or the bigger picture, the big picture, I think. Um, and he was just like this guy. Ben Carson was this guy. Well, in a nutshell, who was really dumb when he was younger. Like he was doing so badly in school, and he was raised. He and his older brother, I think his name was Curtis, were raised by their mom. And at the time he was younger, he didn't even realize that his mom could not read,
Mm-hmm.
or write, because his mom, because they were doing so badly at school, the mom would make him read to her. He did not even know that the mom could not read those things.
Oh.
So the mom would just sit there and make him read. He made them start going to the library and reading two books each week, I believe, from the library.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time, so I might mix some things up, but this is like the general idea. So he made them read two books every week from the library. Um, Prior to that, he was this kid. Each time he raised his hand in class, everybody will already be laughing because they know he's about to say the dumbest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day it happened that they asked a question in class, and no one.
Oh,
He
really?
always expects all the smart kids to answer first, and none of the smart kids raised their hand. And I think it was about a rock, an obsidian rock,
Yeah.
and knew the answer, and it was something he had just read in one of his geography books from the library.
Mm.
So he raised his hand and he answered it, and he was really smart. And all the kids were like, "What the heck?" Amazed,
Mhm.
like how can this guy know this? And then from there, he started gaining more confidence. He eventually went to med school, became a neurosurgeon, and he performed the first surgery, the first I think he's the Siamese twins. It's a very popular surgery that he performed, which are like twins that are joined
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So he was one of those that did he did the surgery for that and whatever. So he became really popular, and people started learning his story. So I learned about him when I was younger. I think it was probably one of the reasons I wanted to be a doctor growing up. So inspired by Ben Carson, I also read, of course, about Nelson Mandela, being Nigerian and African. Um, I didn't really learn about Thomas Sankara until much later. But when I was younger, also I read about Obama
Mm.
because Obama became the president of the United States in like 2008
Yeah.
or thereabouts. Um, and then I read about Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, and how he founded Walmart and what his goal was. Just some guy in Little Rock, Arkansas, and um, he was able to pull off something like that. He literally started discount stores the way we know them today. Like the idea of having stores and selling multiple things in one store. And his principle was he wanted to sell things the best quality at the cheapest price possible. So I read about all these people, and it was just inspiring to see what people have been able to achieve, to see like people who are out there doing a lot of stuff in the world. And then I always thought to myself, there has to be something beyond this place. Growing up
As in where?
in Nigeria,
Nigeria.
like there has to be, like, I mean, Nigeria is a beautiful country. I love it. But I wanted to go out and see what other people are doing in other places. I always, I wanted to be in a place um, that was a mix of people from different places, to understand how people have learned over the years to do things differently too. And I think that's the lens through which I view myself. Like, Obama is a powerful orator, he speaks very well. So each time I listen to people like that, I say to myself, wow, you have a long way to go in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the way you speak. Or I think about the inventions of some people, like, Ben Carson, like I said, and some of the things people have done. I'm like, it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of commitment, consistency to get to this point. Like, these people actually have to sit down every day and commit to this cause and pursue it every day consistently. And then I ask myself, what have I committed myself to over the years? What are some things that I wake up every morning and I do consistently? So that's why I say, like, I feel like each time when I look at myself, I acknowledge the growth that I'm making personally, but then all I see is just an opportunity to improve. Yeah.
Mm. So how do you think? I think many people probably want to improve, or many people want things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think people in general they want to do good. They want
Yeah.
to do, just positive things.
Yeah.
But I think many of us, we just get, like, we don't know what direction to take, or we don't really know,
Yeah.
like, how to get there, or even what we're trying to get.
Yeah.
We know we're trying to get something good, maybe.
Yeah.
But so, like, what do you think about that?
I mean, that's a very deep philosophical question, and it
Yeah.
would probably take I don't know. Aristotle could
Nah, bro.
could have a
I just want to
difficult
know,
time
like, what
answering
you
that.
think.
Yeah, I mean, personally, for me also, I started going to church when I was young. I was a baby. I was raised as a Catholic, in Catholicism and all, and being a Christian was formed the foundation for most of my values.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being a Christian, you learn it's good to be kind to people. It's good to be. I remember when we were younger, sometimes we were on the road and we're going somewhere, and you see people that are limping. Like, I remember there used to be people that are not. Maybe they have one health challenge or physical disability or something like that, and I remember this vividly. This one time, this lady was limping, and it looked funny, and then me and my brother wanted to laugh, and I remember my uncle cautioning us, like, no, you shouldn't laugh at people, that you feel like they're as going through a condition. Instead, pray for them. So those are some of the principles and values that I grew up learning. Be good to people, be kind to people. Even people you feel you're better than, is not an opportunity for you to show off to them. It's an opportunity to draw them close. There's something you can learn from everyone. So those things generally formed the way I grew up to understand life and what life should be all about. So for me, improving meant, okay, well, I learned from church that we should be kind. So anytime I'm not kind, I know the bar is really high on kindness. Like, this is where I should be, and this is where I'm at right now.
Mm.
And like being Christian as well, we learned about Jesus, who gave up everything, and he was someone that had everything, but still he chose to come down and give up his life. Then what sacrifice could be greater than that, to die for people that don't even like you? So for me, that was an example to follow. Like, even if people are not good to me, remember there's this place in the Bible where it tells a story of someone that came to ask Jesus, how many times should I forgive someone that offends me? And the answer Jesus gave to him was like infinite. That's what it meant. Um, so that's a challenge to me as a person living in this world where people offend you every time. So I think to myself, well, even if people think I'm kind, how kind am I truly? Am I kind to the point that if someone slaps me on one cheek, I can turn the left cheek? Or do I feel like, oh, it's my right? If someone should do this to me, I have to do it back to them, and stuff like that. So the bar was pretty high right from the start. It was like a bar of perfection. Like, be the best version that you can be, because there's someone that has set an example for you. It's really difficult to think about my other um, inspirations apart from, if not from that lens. I think that was the foundation of it. And then growing up in a society, of course, everybody's not Christian, but everybody's human, and human decency requires that you're kind to people, you're nice to people, you look towards the progress of other people. If you achieve something good, you want the next person to achieve even better. uh, you know so that's kind of, and also being Nigerian, our culture is a communal culture.
Yeah.
Grew up in a community. So those are kind of the values that I grew up in. So in terms of your question was in terms of getting better, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are those things that, like, what does better even mean,
Yeah.
right? And what's the bar? So I think those are the things that form the bar for me. For other people, it could be different things, right? I mean, people can have different things they want to achieve. I was never really, like, I always wanted to do the best that I possibly can. Like, if I'm in a class, I want to get the highest grade possible. If I'm in a if I'm playing soccer, I want to play to the best of my ability. But I've never really been the very ambitious, like, I want to win, and I don't know, what is
You
it?
know.
Yeah, I mean, I never really was the was the type to be like, hey, like, I want to achieve, maybe I want to have like $20 billion by the time I'm 20. $1 billion for each of the years. So I've never been, that has never been like, I've never been one to have those very large dreams. I just usually want to do the best that I want to do. And then, like, I'll say I had so many good examples growing up as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know. Me personally, when I try to, I know I should think a certain way, or I know maybe I should act kindly.
Yeah.
But sometimes I find it challenging because maybe I'm having a bad day or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I know, like, that's when I should be most, or like
That period. Yeah.
that's the period when you should be kind of focusing, or like that's when you should be on your A game. When
Yeah.
you feel like you don't want to,
Yeah.
because otherwise, when you're feeling good, it's easy to be kind. I
Yep.
feel. So, like, how do you, like, do you train yourself? Are you built that way, or like how do you think for any person who wants to be kind more often? Let's say
Hmm.
it's really, I'm just trying to learn from myself.
Yeah, yeah. No, those are good questions. But also for me, like some of these questions are tricky to answer because, like for me, most of the roots for like when it comes to character and behavior, it's really difficult for me to um not find the roots in my faith as a Christian,
Oh,
because I can say things like, "Oh, you need to discipline yourself." "Oh, like you need to have 10 ways or 10 keys to having the perfect temper or the perfect self-control." But those things have not worked for me really in the past. I think, like I was saying, like I learned kindness by having an example of someone who has been kind to the point that he laid down his own life, and constantly I make mistakes every day, like there are times I've not been kind. If I've never been unkind to you, it's probably because you haven't known me too long. Because, there are times that I want to be kind every time, but like there are times that I could, fall. There are times that I could, I could not, I may not be able to meet up with that. Um, but it's a constant, first the acknowledgement that first the bar that you have for yourself is the first place, is the first place to start. So for me, like I was saying, in my faith, the bar is Jesus, and he's the most kind person that I know from what the scriptures teach. So and then I'm like, okay, this man is like this is the kind of example he set, this is the kind of things that he has done. Now I need to be as selfless as this man. So the bar is like at 100%. So someone, I'm walking down the street. I just washed my white sneakers,
mm-hmm.
sparkling clean. I'm, like bouncing. I'm feeling myself, confident. And then someone just steps on my shoes, and my reflex is to like just give this person like a deserving spank on their head. Like, what is wrong with you? But and maybe I do that. Maybe the first time I do that, and I spank this person like, what is wrong with you? Like, I just washed this shoe. I just cleaned this shoe. Like, I clean my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I do that the first day, and then the person might even feel sorry and be like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do that." And as that thing happens and the person leaves, and I go continue on my way to the place that I'm going to, I just keep thinking to myself, man, you shouldn't have done that. You really should not have, done that, because I know of a person who is kind to the point that he would never do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I correct myself. I come back to okay, next time this happens, I really should not do this. This is the way I would address this. So I'm admonishing myself in that instant, because of the example that I have set before me. And that's how it is. So if someone has a low bar, like in our society today, it depends on what your morals are.
Yeah.
Almost no one will blame you if someone trespassed in your compound and you had a gun and you shot that person. You're in your rights, right? It's your property. The person should not be there in the first place.
Yeah.
Or you catch a thief in your house and you shoot the person because, self-defense, right? Like the
Yeah.
person came into your house trying to kill you and you disarmed them and you had the chance to shoot them first and you shoot them. Like no one is going to blame you. So it's within your rights, but it's about the bar that you've set for yourself. Because me, in that moment, I think to myself, well, this person is a thief. They've come to my house. They broke into my house. They're trying to harm me. They don't mean any good for me. And then I disarm them first and they're helpless and I have a gun. What do I do? So the bar that I've set for myself is, okay, there's a man who was killed. And even he had the opportunity to harm those that killed him, but he said, no, like, I'm not going to do that, because I don't know any better. He shows mercy. So I should show mercy as well. So I'll say, I mean, even if you're not Christian, or it depends on the bar you set for yourself. Like, what is your standard? What is your
Mm-hmm.
standard for kindness? What is your standard for being merciful? What is your standard for what is your standard for anything? So the bar that you set for yourself, or the bar that you look up to, would determine the things that you do when stuff like that happens. If it's the bar of the society in some regard, an eye for an eye. If someone does this, you do it back. So
Yeah.
the way you react to things that happen will be different. But if you set a really high bar for yourself in terms of what your character should be and stuff, then the way you react in instances like that might be different. Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I remember reading a book about like habit change
Mhm.
or how like a smoker stops becoming a non-smoker.
Yeah.
And the thing that they realized was the first thing that a smoker needed to do was stop seeing himself as a smoker. But it's like it's really, so it's more of the character change, or I think how you view yourself is what I get from it. So that is interesting.
Yeah, really, believe it or not, those things can be really difficult. And
Right?
for me, I I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but for me, like Christians, so I don't know if you've heard the term grace, right, from a Christian perspective. So, um I view it as, God's enablement for you to do stuff that you would otherwise not be able to do by yourself. It's like the things that you're required to do. Like, you're required to be selfless. You're required to be kind. You're required to be good even to your enemies. Because, like you rightly said, if I'm only good to the people that are good to me, then am I a good person?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to be good to people
Yeah.
that are good to you. If I give you 1K right now and tomorrow I ask you for $500, it will be easy for you to give it to me because you're like, man, this guy is good. He gave me 1K yesterday. Like, but if I
Yeah.
if you have a car and I take like a really long cane or stick or stone and I just like keep grinding your glass until it breaks. And then the next day I come to you, I don't even apologize. I'm like, Senchy, come on, man. Like, bro, I need $5,000. Even if you have 20 grand, you're like, hell no. Like, this guy, no, I can't. Like, what effrontery, right? Like that you like
I
how
like that word.
like like this guy, you just smashed my windscreen yesterday and you're coming to ask me for money right now. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But then that's the true test of kindness. Are you kind to even the people that are unkind to you and stuff? So I'm saying, like, those things are things that are almost counterintuitive. It's not things that you want to do naturally. Like, they don't stem from nature. So that's why I believe as a Christian that some of those things are abilities that only God can give to you to be able to do. Because if not, if you go by the way you feel or your emotions or your desires, those are not the kind of things that you want to do. Like, you don't want to be kind to someone. If I just came out and I don't want to keep saying shooting because shooting in America is bad, but I don't know, if I came and I did something terrible to someone that you loved, excuse me, you don't want to be kind to me. Like, why would you be kind to me? So those are not the kind of things that we want to do from our natural, organic desires. So that's why I believe that there has to be grace from God for you to be able to do that, stuff like that.
Don't you feel sometimes when you do the things that you don't feel like doing, it feels good kind of like in the long run?
It depends on what your value system is.
Yes.
I mean, some people believe that you should never inconvenience yourself. Like, if someone does something to you, the way you feel good is you do it back to them. You only feel that way, like you gain some satisfaction from, doing those things that are difficult sometimes, but you believe that you should do it because of your own value system, because you believe that you should be good to people regardless, But not everyone has that value system.
But I don't know. I find it interesting because imagine there's a person who is like depressed or something, and they tell themselves, like, okay, it's my value system to enjoy myself, do whatever I want, and I find it's like maybe they're obese or not or something, or they're unhealthily addicted to a drug.
Yeah.
But they tell themselves kind of, okay, my value system is to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But I feel like subconsciously we have a different value system than what most people maybe believe about themselves. Because I feel our subconscious kind of knows. So when we are unkind to a person, even if we tell ourselves, oh, it's in my rights to be, rude, or it's in my rights to, do whatever to this person. Like I feel most people sometimes feel bad about it. So I don't know if it's.
So, I mean, I guess the question now is, what is your subconscious based on? What is your subconscious?
Even that I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel it's like, I don't know, a collection of ideas that we have accepted. Now, I do believe, because I don't know.
Because your subconscious are just I would say they're based on your experiences too, and your knowledge. So your knowledge and your experiences and all of that is still what forms your subconscious. So if I am in a place, if I grew up in a place, like for example, I grew up in Nigeria, where the lifestyle is a little different than it is here in America, and there are some things that our value systems are also slightly different. Like America is very individualistic. We're very community based in Nigeria. Um, so all those things form the things that I have in my subconscious. So all my value systems and all of that stuff, it's ingrained. I might not know when it
Yeah.
happens, but it's just gradually like being ingrained there. So those are still the things that would inform whether like I do something right or wrong. Like if you if you say for example you have 100 grand, right? And you buy someone a car 50 grand. Why do you think it's a good thing? Like why do you think your subconscious would say you've done a good thing?
I don't know. It depends on who I bought it for and probably for what reason.
Yeah, let's say you buy it for, let's say, your wife if you're married.
Or wife, then
Or
would be like, or wife or parents or something
yeah,
like that.
parents,
Then
family.
my subconscious will be doing good stuff, Senchy.
Right.
But it's probably also because of the culture, I
Exactly.
do agree.
Yeah, it's just because of the culture you grew up in and the way that you've come to understand how things work and how
Yeah.
things should be.
Yeah.
Now perhaps if it was wrong to do that, if it was wrong to, if for example for some reason buying a car for your mom was bad, or let's say for example your mom doesn't have a car, like
Yeah.
she's suffering, she needs a car and she can't afford one, but instead you buy a car for this random person that you just meet one day. She just walks up to you, is like, hey, like I need a car, and you're like, oh yeah, I have the money, I'll just buy him a car, but you neglect your own parents. Now subconsciously, if you're someone who still has a conscience anyways, it might be bugging you in
Yeah.
your mind. You might be like, oh, I should have used this money to buy this car for my mom instead of using it to buy a car for this random person. Why? Because of your value system. Because you believe it's right. Is you still perform the same act, like you still bought a car. Now the way your subconscious interprets the same act is different just because it's for different people and based on the value system that you grew up in.
Yeah.
So subconscious, I don't know if it's a very good judge of what is good and what is bad because it's very
I
subjective.
guess that could be
Yeah.
true.
I think it's very subjective, but
You're interesting. Okay, shifting topics
yeah.
into something completely different. I thought, bro, everyone has different ideas on this, and I always find it interesting to ask people.
Okay.
What do you think, bro? How do you get a girl? Because I don't know, everyone has a different view.
Okay. Well, get a girl for what? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. Get a girl, but that's it. I'm not gonna say no.
Excuse me. Well,
See, exactly, because even if I say something about it, get a girl for dash, then it'll be like,
because
it'll be
it's.
my views on it. Or
I
something.
mean, it's like I have many questions. Like, get a girl for what? Get a girl where?
Get a girl for a more romantic side, not a friendship, but a more romantic.
Okay.
So tell me.
What romantic side? Is it like serious romantic relationship? Is it for a relationship or just for fun? Because it's all different.
Yeah, no, you tell me. If there's both for both, if there's one.
Excuse me. Sorry, I have a cough. I mean, so personally, I've never really been the type to run after girls. For two reasons. One, because I believe that, well, when I say run after, I mean like persist and pursue until you see a result. There are guys that believe in that, and there are ladies that want that. I don't know. They believe if not putting in the work, then
Yeah.
you don't deserve me. Like you have to put in the work so you can get me. So I'm like really difficult to get.
Uh-huh.
Well, good luck to them. But I don't believe in that. I believe that you should put in work. You should let okay, how to get a girl. For me, let the person know that you're interested. It could be verbally, which usually should not be the first thing that you do, in my opinion. Like, if this is someone that you have, or this, usually for me, it's like people that I do stuff with. Like, I have some sort of overlapping function, like class or something with. So, in your relationship with the person as you guys are in class or whatever, like you can in some subtle way indicate show the person that you're interested, from maybe the conversations you guys have or just like being more intentional, paying more attention to them and stuff like that, just gently. And then you gauge um their reception of that, There are people that you once you show them, like you show them a little, like you show them your cards a little bit, and then you can tell from the way they react that, okay, no, they're not interested, And then there are people that you show a little bit, you see, okay, this person might be interested. You don't know for sure. So, but when you get to that point, in my opinion, that's a good first step, right? And then from there, um, well, disclaimer, I don't try to get girls for fun. So this, what I'm talking about is like for serious relationship, right? Like someone that you like, someone you want to be with, someone that you want to spend time with, to be a significant other for you. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Because if you're talking about like hookups and that's like different. The approach for that one is very much more direct, and I don't know. There's how in many ways people go about that. But anyways, so you show them you're interested, right?
Okay,
And then
okay.
they respond in some sort of way. They might not know for sure, like, okay, I don't know where this guy is going with this thing, but then you know that at least they don't dislike you. That's
Mm.
very important to know. Whether at least they don't have hatred or dislike for
Okay.
you. Now, liking you is different. Someone can just have a neutral feeling, like you're like a nice guy. I don't like you, but I don't dislike you. So then when you get to that point, for different girls is also different. There are some people, you can ask them out. Hey, like, would you like to grab coffee with me, or would you like to go hang out sometime? That too can be a good test because the way the person responds to that, if the person is like, oh, actually, like if you're like, hey, uh, there's this soccer game happening tomorrow, on campus. Do you want to go watch? If the person is like, oh, no, actually tomorrow, I don't want to, I have homework.
Yeah.
Period. And the person is not like, oh boy, maybe if you're free on Wednesday and you want to do this, we can go. And that's different. But this person is just like, no, tomorrow I have homework. I'm busy. Yeah, I don't think the person is interested. But if they're like, oh, I'm busy tomorrow, but maybe this, then that's different. Or if the person's like, yeah, sure, let's go. Yeah, then that's another good step. And I mean, from then, if you guys hang out the first time, then I mean, it depends on you to read their body language, understand, know for sure that you even like them, and then depending on how you want to move, then I'll say it's very dependent on a lot of things. But from that first step, I think I think you can know the person and know what timeline might be appropriate. There are some girls that don't like to when guys move too fast because it kind of overwhelms them. Then there are also some girls that want you to be direct about what you want. Like they don't want a guy to just be hovering around because girls can see this, they can sniff this from miles out. So like if you're just hovering around and you're not saying anything, this guy is like, okay, like this guy, you just got to say what you want.
Mm.
So that's all right. I don't know if there is one size fits all for this, but it depends on like the guy. It also depends on the time. Like if I'm trying to get married, is like if I'm ready to get married, the way that I approach someone and the kind of things that I do will be different from like I'm just in college, a sophomore in college, and I'm trying to, like I like someone, I'm trying to date them, but I'm not foreseeing any very more permanent situation with that person is also a little different. Yeah.
Interesting. Did you date any girls in college?
No, I did not.
Did not?
Yeah. Yeah, I did not because. Oh, so I just gave you the first reason. I said, what was my first reason? I said there were two reasons why I did not pursue and persist on
Mm-hmm.
women. I said, and I gave you the first reason. Now, the second reason, first reason I gave was because I feel like it's supposed to be mutual interest.
Yeah.
And then the second reason is because I don't think it's time yet, at least for me. Um, one of the things that I found to be a challenge in America when I first got here is everybody was wanting to be in a relationship. And I thought that was interesting because that's not what I'm used to. Back home, until the time that I came here, I had a very close friend group. Even until now, we're still close. A very close friend group, and we all hung out a lot. And this is like guys and girls. We're all like between the ages of, at the time, between the ages of 18 and like 21. Was anyone 21 at the time? No. So 18 and 20 maybe, with the exception of one of us that was a little older than the rest of us. Um,
Was that you?
Not me. No, I was at the time I left. Well, this was from my high school. So at the time I left Nigeria. I was 29. I was 20, right? The time that I got here in America. Um, so around the time somewhere 18, 19, 20, 21 ish. Yeah. So and all of us guys, girls, we hung out a lot. Like we were just very this cohesive friend group, like very good friends. And none of us were dating or in a relationship. We just enjoyed each other's company. We had very good conversations. We all like were interested in each other's growth and stuff like that. But then I came to America and I realized it's very difficult to see adults who are friends and then there is no romantic side to it, or there's no, I don't know how to explain it, like it's like everybody's either in a relationship, or if you can't just be like good friends with people, and it's not, there's no like twist to it and stuff like that. It's just very complex. And I knew it was like in college and stuff. I mean, I understand it's not an issue, but I was a tutor at Woodward, and I was
Mm-hmm.
teaching these elementary kids, and these kids 9 years old, they had girlfriends.
Wow.
And I was like, huh? This one guy one time was like, hey, let me tell you what happened. I actually went out with my girlfriend yesterday and I kissed her. I was like, whoa, okay, now, how you were 9 years old. I was like, did you tell that to your mom? And so you see right from the early age, most of these kids here in America are already relationship driven. So I think it does not give a lot of room for people to have good friendships, so most of the guys, any girl, any 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 girl that a guy is approaching is already thinking, okay, maybe this guy likes me, and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which makes things a little weird sometimes and challenging, because then you can't even really like be good friends with people and stuff without them thinking that, which I understand because that's usually the case here too. um, but my experience is that there should be a lot of growth that happens to and within you, um, as you grow and develop as an adult. You know, between I can't put any age to it
Uh-huh.
because like people are different
Yeah,
in their
no,
own
sorry.
growth and
Checking.
development. Yeah, but I'll say like your teenage years, your early 20s, within those times, sometimes you don't even truly know who you are. You
Yeah,
are still trying to
for
understand
sure.
what life is about, what your assignment is, the things that you want to achieve, the things you want to spend your time doing, and stuff like that. And then having someone else in the picture is crazy because
Yeah.
you can't even take care of yourself and you're trying to like be with somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we have to have it all figured out before we can date or be with someone, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like you should at least get to a certain level of maturity, at least know what you want to do, know where you're headed, understand yourself. Some people I know have, since they were 16, 15, they've been in relationships until, like, even if they break up with someone today,
Yeah.
like, they can't be alone. If they break up with someone today, in 2 weeks, they're in another relationship. It's like being is abnormal to them to just be single, you know. But I think your single years, there's a lot of work to be
It
done. There's a
is, man.
lot of
It
like
is.
self discovery, and that would create a better and more efficient marriage or relationship for you when you eventually have the time, because you're able to, you've already mastered yours. Like, you're not emotionally 100% emotionally dependent on somebody else. Like, you're not, your happiness is not entirely dependent on somebody else, because that could be a problem.
Yeah.
You know, that could be
Yeah.
burdensome for the next person. So you've understood yourself, you've understood how you function, and you've understood how, you know, you best manage yourself. That's easier for you and for your partner. And if your partner is also at that place, you guys can have a healthy relationship. So I think for me, I was still going through that phase, especially in college. That phase of, okay, trying to even understand. I mean, it was a new country and a new system, and even the way girls think in America is different from the way girls in Nigeria think. So I was still trying to understand all this stuff. I mean, does it mean I never thought about it? I thought about it a lot, actually, you
Mm.
know, but I guess it also never happened. There was a time that my junior year, I was like, you know, maybe it's time. Maybe I need to try this out. And then it was also a thing of, well, I'm not really seeing what is looking like could be compatible, based on what was I believed should be good indicators of, you know, a good relationship that I could be in. I wasn't really seeing most of it forthcoming. So, but I was not desperate to be in one, you know. So yeah,
That's good.
you think so? I don't know, man.
I don't know, bro. But I do agree with most. I don't know. I just think that, at least in that context,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's more like you have it not because you need it, but just
Mhm.
because you've always had it or other people have it.
Mhm.
So I realized, yeah, it's
So when do you think someone should date?
no. I think you're right. I think when they feel they're mature enough, and I think I also realized that if you feel you're not mature, or like if you're asking yourself whether you're mature enough or not,
Then
then
you
you're not.
probably are not,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
So
exactly.
so yeah, I realized for myself, I was asking myself, am I mature enough or not? Just now when you were talking, I was like,
Mhm.
and the moment I asked myself, I was like, okay, no, I'm not, because a person who knew would not say it.
Yeah, I think it's not emphasized enough, the need for healthy friendships.
Yeah.
That's something that I've been starved of since I've been here in America, because even if you're trying to be a good friend to someone, they're already thinking about all these very interesting, you know, ways to not make that happen, or because they either have a convoluted idea of friendship or, like, you know, something. But when I was back home in Nigeria, it was very pure, innocent, beautiful friendships. Like, my friends are cool. My friends are really nice people, you know, and there's not as much pressure of being in a relationship as there is here. Because one of the things that also happen to people is, even if you don't want to be in a relationship, you feel left out. I came here in 2019. Within 2 months, classes started in September 16th.
Yeah.
By October ending, everybody was in a relationship. All the freshmen, like, not all the freshmen, of course, but like at least a good 60%. So even on Friday nights or weekends, you want to hang out, or you just want to like chill when you're not studying, just want to hang out with people. Everybody's with their, you know, their boyfriend or their girlfriend or, you know, their partner. And then the thing you start thinking about then is, okay, I need to get myself a girl,
Yeah.
you know, because, I mean, the way this is going, I don't want to, you feel so lonely, you
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
so left out, you know. So that's one of the pressures that happen. So, but I think we need to emphasize the need for people to have good friendships, to not necessarily be in a relationship until they feel ready to be in it. Because then you see some of these relationships, it causes so much problems. It's just two immature people, or at least one immature person in the relationship, making it very difficult, for there to be progress and growth.
Yeah. But I also feel that there can never be just one immature person
Mm.
in a relationship, at least for like a for in a given time.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe for a few days or weeks, but I think if both of them are not immature or something, that it
Yeah.
will not last. But I
Yeah.
think it could last if both are.
Yeah.
I just feel people were kind of similar or drawn to each other. Which
Some people say people that are opposite attract, like the law of physics. I don't know.
no, bro, maybe in opposite in terms of I don't know interests or things like that. But I think in terms of self-esteem or
Hmm.
stuff like that, I think
Yeah.
they
I
probably
mean,
match.
obviously, you have to have some similarities to be interested in someone. And then there are some of those qualities that complement each other. Like someone that talks a lot might probably not want to be with someone that talks a lot. Because then you guys are, or
Like, who's talking?
yeah, I mean, there are people that are very chatty. They also like chatty people because then they can have good conversations. Like I'm talking, you're talking, and then conversation is nice. But obviously there has to be balance
Yeah.
in all of that. One person has to be able to listen if the other person is speaking and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, man. College life is interesting though. I feel like there's so much to be discovered, and I just never wanted to put myself in that place where I mean, because if you have a girl, especially in college, most of
Yeah,
the
I
times,
realized you have certain. It's like almost
yeah,
like an extra schedule.
yeah, it's like you can't even sometimes spend time with your friends like that. You can't even do a lot of stuff. It's at least the way I think about it is I'm going to spend the rest of my life married to someone. Maybe I get married, say in the next 3 years, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to spend, and in 3 years, I'll be what? I'll be 27, right? Well, 26, 27. And then I spend the rest of, say, I live for 80, 90 years. I spend the rest of the 50, 60 years of my life married to someone. So why do I have to rush into, being in that relationship? Because most likely when you're a freshman dating a girl, the chances that I don't know what the probability is that you get married or get very serious
Mm-hmm.
and with the person that you date when you're a freshman, so the chances of you breaking up with that person is definitely higher. So then you just leave all these exes, this ex, you have another ex, an ex, you leave all those and all the emotional baggages that come with being with someone, loving that person, and then breaking up with that person, moving on to somebody else. It's just like all these baggages that you leave behind, and then I don't know about you, but my heart is kind of fragile. I don't know how much of those I'll survive.
Yeah.
So it was always a thing of when I'm mature enough, when I'm sure that this is the person, then I can go into it. If it doesn't work, that's fine still, but at least I went into it thinking that this is the person and it didn't work out. Then, that's fine too.
Without whom it would be impossible.
Yes, sir.
No, I just thought of a new strategy actually with this
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah. Tell me.
Instead of me making up the questions, I thought, let me. Because really, the goal with this is maybe we'll look back in a while, long, long while, and then they'll be like, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
What do you think would be cool to like, or what do you want to talk about, or what do you want to like really write yourself an email in the future, but with you speaking?
Hmm. I guess uh, one of the things that always amazes me is when I look back, like even sometimes a year, and I think about the things that used to worry me,
Yeah.
bother me, at the time. So I guess we can talk about worries. So
Oh, worries.
what do
Oh,
you
yeah.
what do you worry about now? What do you think about? What is top in your mind?
Yeah, that's actually probably a good question.
Like what do you stress about?
These days, I try not to, but I don't stress as much
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. I because I feel sometimes people expect things to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's a very common thing to say, but things cannot be perfect, or I cannot be feeling good all the time. So earlier when I wasn't feeling the best, let's say, even earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to do things that made me kind of be like, okay, Sunshine, let's clean this, let's do this, trying to, get back the mojo. But I was like, dude, you like trying to search for it itself is kind of like not, you won't find it
Yeah.
as long as you like
Yeah.
search for it. So it's kind of like counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So even with anxiety, I don't know, things, do they worry me? No. Like, I just feel, I know if something worries me, it's really because I haven't done something.
Okay.
Or I've not realized that I can't control it. So if I can't control it, I just have to, I don't know, make my mind stronger, I guess, to realize I can't control it. But if I can control it, I try to say, okay, you should have worked harder, or you should have practiced it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, I guess.
What phase do you think you're in your life right now?
What phase? I don't know, even phase itself is interesting.
Mhm. You know how like people, I mean, okay, let me use planting for example. Like
Who?
the planting, like the process of planting
No.
and cultivation.
Okay.
So like there's the phase where you till the soil.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You put the seed in,
Ah.
then it germinates, and
Yeah.
then it's sprouting and growing, and you're weeding. Then you weed, and maybe if there's too much of the plants that actually germinated, then you thin the soil. If there's not enough, you supply. So there's what they call thinning and supplying, and all of that stuff in agriculture. I farmed a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like even
all right.
Yellow farmed a lot.
Nice. Cover. So, anyways, so those are phases, so if you're talking about planting, those are different phases. So like, and then sometimes people attribute that to life, like,
Oh, that I can see.
yeah, like, okay, in this stage in my life, like this is the things that I'm focusing on. Like how you said earlier, you just ask yourself, well, do I think I'm ready for a relationship? Like, nah, I don't think so. So
Yeah.
so like that's why I'm asking, generally, in the way that you think about yourself, in the way that you think about the things that you're doing, in the way that you think about the person that you're becoming,
Yeah.
and generally, what phase do you see yourself? And I'm asking that kind of in relation to the, like, what do you worry about? What do you stress about? Because then the things you worry about, the things that you think about are also dependent on the phase that you're
Yeah.
on. Then I can go first.
Yeah.
I mean, for me right now, I think I'm in a more, like, I'm thinking more in the direction of self-establishment. Like, it just hit me the other day, like, whoa, geez, I could have kids in like the next 5 years. I could have a wife in the next, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you said 3 earlier.
3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't have anything. Like, what money do I have? What knowledge base do I have? What resources? Like, just thinking about generally, like, am I knowledgeable enough? Am I self-sustained? Am I, you need to at least be at a position where you have some things going for you before you can, try to involve somebody else. That's one. Then two, also, like, I'm graduating, and like I'm also thinking, okay, what's the next step? Like, so all those, like, self-establishment, like, okay, what am I doing next? Where am I gonna live? How am I gonna take care of this, take care of that? Stuff like that. So that's kind of, the phase where I'm at, and the things I think about right now is more like, making sure, like, today I was over at Western's campus, and I'm just making sure, like, my application and everything was getting their attention that it needed.
Application for what?
Masters. So I'll be going to Western to do a
Really?
master's.
You'll
Yeah,
be here then?
I'll be here for like maybe another year.
Wow.
We'll see.
It's good that we won't have lost Chilo.
Yes, Chilo will be there. So we'll
Awesome,
see.
actually.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, staying back in college for another year will be fun, for sure. Yeah, so those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about right now. Self-establishment, self-improvement, being able to build myself up to a place that I can be self-sustained. You know, before it used
Okay.
to be like um, when I was let's say like freshman year, sophomore year, it used to be a lot about like networks, like building, like finding the right people, spreading out my tentacles, trying to, all that stuff and stuff like
No.
that, So I guess I don't know what other phases there are,
Yeah. So if it was a
but
season, what season would it be then?
you mean like within the 4 seasons?
Maybe, or I don't know. Whatever seasons there are, I guess.
If it was a season,
Like harvesting or like spring,
um,
fall. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
would
I
say
didn't take agriculture.
it's not planting, it's not harvesting, it's like um I don't know if it has a name, but for example, when you plant stuff like when you plant, there are these what's the plant that grows here that I can use to describe this? Maybe there's this type of beans. The way it grows, like it grows like this. It grows in a twisted way.
Yeah.
You know.
Like
S-
grapes.
Um,
Maybe.
I don't know, grapes? No. Like um but the idea is like it needs to wrap around something when it's growing.
Okay.
So you as the person that planted the crop, you need to check it every day and know when to put a stick that it can wrap around as it's growing because
Mm.
then otherwise it would die.
Yeah.
Like if you leave it to just if it doesn't have anything to climb
Yeah.
and wrap itself around, then it will just grow on the floor and it would die.
Mm.
So I'm at that place now where I'm like putting that stick in, like all those different places that I need to grow. I'm like putting in those sticks and those pillars that I need
Yeah.
that would be a support so that the growth can happen. So I don't know what name to call it, to call that stage. It's more like a budding, maybe budding or um, hmm, just strengthening or like, oh, man, English is not my first language, so I don't
It's all good,
know.
bro. As
Yeah,
long as we get what you're saying. And we
yeah.
do, so.
So yeah, that's kind of the phase. So it's a phase to like kind of augmentation or stuff like that.
Wow.
Mm.
That's a good way to look at it.
What about you?
Me, probably, I don't know. But all I know is when I first came here, my first year,
Yeah.
I was a bit maybe not off, but it was more of a learning phase. It was a big learning phase
Okay.
because I realized I wasn't doing my full potential. I wasn't like far from it. So my full potential was far, and I wasn't maybe conscious. I think that's a strong word. Like conscious of my feelings or thoughts, or trying to ignore or being ignorant of my own feelings and
Yeah.
thoughts, like what I wanted to do, what was troubling me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think being conscious is good. So right now in my second year, I'm more trying to be more aware, like what concerns me. Like if anything makes me anxious, I'm like, okay, that means I've not
That's
given the
much.
thought.
Yeah.
So if like maybe a job or like working or masters or something makes me anxious, that means okay, I'm not putting in the right work towards internships or right works towards school
Mhm.
and with stuff like that. So
That's that's facts. That's facts. That's
that
true.
I'm also trying to, I guess right now, figure out what I want to do. But I guess everyone wants to figure out what I do. But I don't know what I want to do, but I know very much what I don't want to do.
Okay. That's
Which
a good
is
start.
I realize that's also a good start. I don't want to do a normal 9 to 5 job
Okay.
or even job itself for someone else.
Yeah.
These days I'm strongly against that. I'm like, even, and things that I don't like, I don't want to do that at all. And kind of, I don't know, maybe it could seem childish, but I strongly believe that there are, in at least in modern world right now,
Yeah.
we can make a living out of doing something that we really, really enjoy. And it's not really, it's not, well, many people think it's not for me. It's for like, the famous artists or like the famous talented people who were born with the talent. They can do what they want to do, like actors, they can be singers
Yeah.
or business people. But me, nah, I just need to do the normal 9 to 5 job. And I feel that like the simple fact that we think that way will make it so that it will never happen. Because I think it's really our belief. Because if you believe, like, let's say, if you believe you can't do masters or PhD, you'll have so many reasons in your head. The moment you start saying that, okay, this, they might do this will happen. Not, no money, whatever. So, and I'm just trying to make a living doing what I enjoy. And I'm trying to, I think I'm in the phase of trying to find out. So experimenting with podcasts, maybe see how that goes. Videos. I just want to see, But I don't want to work for someone else. As long as I can help it. If I have to, I know some things you have to do. Sometimes when you don't want to do it for the maybe long-term thinking. But no, bro. One life, come on, man. I'm not gonna. Or even maybe one life is also debatable. I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, right. Well, I agree. I think I always say to myself that figuring out what you want to do is 80% of the job.
right.
Because that's the most important. Like, that's the most difficult. Because if you don't even know what you want to do, you don't even know what you need to do
Right.
to get there. But if you know what you want to do, you already know the work cut out for you, then what is needed is for you to actually do that work, which can be difficult if you don't know it. So I think that knowing, getting to know what you want to do is very, very important. And I think I have a good idea. Like, you can't know everything you want to do like 100% in one day, right? But I also was not very sure what I wanted to do. Freshman year, sophomore year, even junior year, economics was so broad. I remember then people asking me like, what do I want to do in finance and stuff. I was always like confused. I didn't really know, and like you as well, like I'm not very, I think it would be cool for me to have my own thing to run it, because then I can employ more people, I can build stuff, I can, be a part of a big change. But to be honest, like, I'm not too persuaded about if, let me take that back. If, like, the person that I work for shares in my vision and what I'm doing for the person is what I want to do, like, I don't mind it, like, for a while. Like, ideally, in the end, I want to run my own business and have my own business, and just because it gives you a lot of flexibility to do a lot of good stuff, yeah. But what I've realized as well is that, like, it's not something that I should personally jump into from the start,
Yeah.
because there's vital experience that comes from working for somebody else and learning. There are people that don't need that. I think I do need it. Like, I need to work for someone, see how that person runs things, see how the industry is shaped in general, and also, like, work in a place that's very broad. So if you work, there are some industries you work in and it exposes you to almost every other industry out there, and that's part of the reason I studied economics in the first place, because money is really important. And if you're running a business and whatever, you need to understand money and how it works, So, but yeah, I echo what you said about, like, knowing what you want to do, trying out different things until you figure out what exactly that you want to do. That's, like, super important.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's a little bit about me. If you knew all these things about me, I think you probably know me. Well, I speak English. I'm not very good at it, but I try.
Really? We've been talking English all this time.
Well, I guess if you can understand me, then maybe I'm not too terrible at English. But I also speak Igbo, which is my native language, one of the 512 languages spoken in Nigeria.
Wow. I thought Nepal had lots, but
Of which most people can only speak. The average person in Nigeria, apart from English, can only speak maybe like 2 or 3 other
so
languages,
2 or 3, including English.
including English.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because it's very
Yeah, like some languages are
geographical.
dominant. Also.
Well, the only 3 languages are dominant: Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. But what makes it difficult for people to know how to speak a lot more languages is because the people that speak Igbo are people that are Igbo. So Igbo is a language, but it's also like an ethnic group. So people that speak Igbo are Igbo, and all the Igbos live in one place.
Yeah.
So they live
Okay,
in
I
like
get
a
that.
specific geographic place in the
Yeah.
country. So it becomes difficult to learn something else. Like growing up, I never had any Yoruba friends. I never had any Hausa friends, Tiv, Idoma, anyone from any other place in Nigeria. So there was not even an opportunity to learn something that was not Igbo. And no other languages apart from French and English and Igbo were taught in my school. So there was really no room to learn anything else. And that's only if you grew up in a place like Lagos. So Lagos is like,
A mixture.
yeah, it's like the New York of Nigeria, basically.
Mhm.
It's like where everybody is like the melting pot. So most major businesses and stuff happen in Lagos. So if you're in Lagos, the chances that the school you go to has people of other tribes and ethnic groups is very high. So if you're the type that has a flair for languages, it can be a chance for you to learn and stuff. Because most people move, to Lagos. So I speak English, Igbo. I speak some French.
Oh yeah.
Took French classes here
And
and
some Chinese, no? Like a few phrases.
yeah, I mean, I guess I can introduce myself in Chinese. It's been 3 years since freshman year since I took Mandarin, but I mean, if you spoke Mandarin, I would know you're speaking Mandarin. I think that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I just kidding.
Yeah.
I can introduce myself at least, but I've lost almost all my vocab because like everything else, if you don't practice, you lose it. And then Pidgin English, actually, I'll
What's
say is
that?
my favorite language. It's
Pidgin English?
broken English.
Oh.
It's like English that does not. It's English on steroids.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it like what they
English.
speak in like I don't know, Jamaica? No.
No, like instead of saying, "Oh, I came here today and I'm having a good time," I'll say stuff like, "Oh, I come here today, I can't dey chill." Like say tomorrow, no day. You get stuff
Oh,
like that.
that sounds
So
cool.
it's
Actually.
like
Well, you should
English.
speak like that more often.
Oh, you be
Like
like
right
if
now.
I did talk like that, nobody go to understand what tonight they talk now.
I could.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. You see. So I mean, a lot of Americans would not for sure understand what I'm saying.
No, bro, it sounds more like cool. I don't know. You sound
Yeah,
more
but
relaxed.
that's my favorite language. I mean, some people argue it's a different language. Some people argue it's still English. So, however you classify it, but I think it has its own separate codes, and it's really cool because it's very expressive. You can say whatever you want, anyhow you want it. Like you don't
Really?
have to
Like, give me an
follow.
example.
You don't have to follow any rules. So I can say stuff like, "I've been the waka for road, they go somewhere. I just hear this guy, they shout. It's just this ka 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 ka." So what is ka 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 ka
It's
ka?
just a noise.
Yeah, but anyone I tell that to understands what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like it's
Oh, that's
very
awesome.
sound based, very descriptive, very expressive. And
Wow.
the beauty of it is no one teaches you how to speak it. Like you just figure out
It's
one day
intuitive.
that you know how to speak it
Wow.
just by hanging around with people. Like I discovered that I could speak Pidgin when I was like 10. I never spent time learning it. So it's just something that you pick up. Even though it can have some negative connotations to it because most people that use it are people that cannot speak proper English in the first place. English can be very like speaking English in standard English in the way that is designed, following all the, which I mean is subjective as well
Yeah.
and can be argued, but following all the rules of English language, for someone that is not educated can be difficult. So most of the times, people that didn't go to school, people that don't have the education, that's the only language they can speak properly. So most of the times you associate yourself with that group of people when you're always using it. It's especially also more telling when a woman does it than when a guy does it.
Why?
Because as everything else, there is double standards for women
Yeah.
too. When a girl speaks, it's like, who's this girl? Like she's sounding like she's we call them abuero. Abuero is like
Hoodlum.
like a tout, yeah, something like that. So, boy, guys can always get away with stuff like that. But if you're talking to an elder, if you're in class, you can't speak that. You have to speak proper standard English.
Yeah.
But what is proper English, anyways?
Right.
Very subjective.
Okay, bro.
But yeah, so that's a little about myself. And yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. So, dude, I think we're coming towards the end. So
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, so if you look back on this after a long time,
Yeah.
then you almost be like, oh, I forgot I did that. But then you look back at it and then you hear this. What would you? I don't know. Would you like to say something? Not say something? Relax,
If I look back,
or I don't know, because when you look back on it, you'll
I
be like,
was just looking back. Just kidding.
no, that's good. We have video too, so you'll be like,
If I
you'll
look
be
back
like, I was
on this.
I'm a funny guy, wasn't I? So
um, I mean, I don't know. I apparently or obviously, hopefully, by the time I look back on this, I would have been wiser than I am right now. I hope my wisdom does not decline. I hope as I grow, I become wiser, and hopefully, I'll have more tools to analyze some of the things that I've said. Obviously, like there is no almost everything can be poked at. Like no matter what you say, like it can always be examined. There's always room for introspection
yeah,
all the time. So hopefully at that time when I am looking at this stuff that I'm saying right now, I can be happy that, at least I was not completely senseless
yeah,
when I was in college,
yeah,
in my
yeah,
last year in college,
yeah.
because I think about myself 5 years ago. I'm like, damn, at that time I thought I knew everything,
Me
but
too.
I was
Yeah,
so immature,
for me even a year ago. So yeah.
right? So now, hopefully, at the time I look back at this, I don't think that I I was totally dumb.